Hey guys, Unfrequented World, and I'm just out with the AX700 camcorder this week. This is 2021, so this is not a new camcorder. This came out in 2017. It's new to me. I waited for the price to come down to a reasonable amount, but I want to do a little series for you guys, just some short clips, 5-7 minutes, and I want to show you guys the gear that I use with this camera. I want to show you some of the features of this camera. I'm surprised that there is not the amount of stuff on YouTube that I thought there would be comparing this to other stuff out there with actual footage from the camera and whatnot. This little camera will hang with any mirrorless camera that I have, okay? The 4K footage is so good from this, guys. With the 1-inch sensor, you do get a little bit of a bokeh with it, a blurry background, but the image quality is very sharp, very good, and I pair it with an AX700, no problem. So it is something worth having in the arsenal, and I want to do a little series for you guys to show you what I'm using with this camera. So there's the nice camcorder there, and it's got a 62 millimeter mount on the front of that. And so I put together a bag, just a sling bag, and in here I carry all my camcorder accessories. So if I'm going out, and I've got some various lenses that I want to show you guys. There's a trio of lenses that are excellent for this camera. Wide angle, a telephoto, and a macro that you can put right on that camcorder. So I want to show you guys, we talked about this one in an earlier video. This is a Sony teleconverter, 1.7 times converter. So everything you film will be 1.7 times closer. And here's the model number of that Sony, guys, VCLHGD1758. And then in the top of the bag, I carry two more lenses. So I just bought this one, treated myself to this one for my birthday. Now there's a whole set of these. They were for DSLRs. They were made by Olympus. Okay, this is the macro lens, and that will make everything appear 10 times bigger than normal. So if you zoom the camcorder all the way in with this on there, the end of a ballpoint pen will fill this screen pretty much. That's how close you're getting with this converter on there. Again, very low fringing, heavy solid pieces of glass. And I'll show you the wide angle is also from the same series, the Olympus series. And I do have the teleconverter for that series as well. However, it's not as good as that Sony one I showed you guys, so I don't use it. But here's the wide angle converter, and again, I don't know how heavy they are. I mean, they're solid pieces of glass, so you need to have a good solid metal mount, and this camcorder does. But this camcorder comes with a 29 millimeter field of view. And when we put this wide angle on here, this Olympus WC08, I think it's called. So Comedia. That's the name of the series, made by Olympus. WCON08B, okay, that's the wide angle. That brings your lens to a 20 millimeter field of view. Each one of those lenses can be bought individually for between $20 and $60, okay? And if you want to stick with the Comedia one, the 1.4 times teleconverter, it will screw right onto the camera with no step-up ring or anything. However, you're only getting 1.4 times zoom, and there's a little bit of purple fringing with that lens. Not terrible, but it is there. It is a little bit noticeable. The Sony, for the same price, gets you 1.7 times closer, and there isn't as much fringing. There's a slight green fringe with the Sony one, but your eye doesn't notice that as much as the purple one. So here is the 58 millimeter step-up ring that I use. Okay, so it's right here. So this has to go on the end of the camera, and then the Sony, the big teleconverter, screws into the end of this. Now, I just leave that on the camcorder sometimes, and so I have a 58mm lens hood that I'll use as well, okay? But here's the tip. If you're using these step-up rings, carry an elastic with you. Anyone who has used these over the years, they know these are so smooth and brushed metal that when you try to take them off, sometimes they're really stuck on there and you just can't get it. If you put an elastic around it, it'll come right off. So this Sony cap, the 62mm, comes off. Then I put on the threaded step down ring. And only ever finger tighten these guys. If you crank them down, you won't get it off. Then this is where my 58mm cap comes in handy. So I put that on. And now I walk around through the bush with it set up like this. And if I need to put that big adapter on, I just can pop this off and the adapter goes right on. Always do this with two hands, guys. I'm filming right now, but I always support the lens. They're so heavy with two hands, especially when you're taking them off. And again, just barely tighten that up. If you crank that down, you're actually going to tighten down that step down ring. Now, well, you can see the stuff in the shed. I'm kind of working, I'm kind of filming. We're going to take a break and I'm going to try to film some of these woodpeckers I can see around me here with the extender, just to show you guys. I put the hammock up. Hey, I did something this morning. Come on. So when we have that teleconverter on there, you'll see that the image circle in the center, there's black all around it, and that's because that lens doesn't cover the whole sensor. But that's okay, because you're only going to use this teleconverter zoomed in. So if we just zoom in until the black disappears, somewhere right around there, this is the range that you're going to get. From here all the way to there is going to be your zoomable range, and that's giving you you know, if you were shooting at 100mm, that's now going to be 170 millimeter field of view. So it's giving you quite a bit more zoom. So nothing exotic, but I've got a nice red-breasted robin here that has a nest under my deck. And she's very patient with me when I'm out here doing yard work. She won't go to the nest when I'm there, so she goes and sits and she waits for me to leave. I can show you guys with and without the teleconverter. She just let me film her, so let's compare those two clips right here, just so you get an idea of how much more zoom you're getting. And I don't notice any degradation of quality with that teleconverter. Like I say, I've tried a few different ones over the years, and I've settled on that Sony. It seems to be the best one. So when I took the converter off, the step-down ring came off with it, and it's locked on there. So we'll just take the rubber band I talked about, and it'll come right off. So you just put the rubber band over top the step-down ring, and really it's probably going to take two hands, and you just turn on the rubber and it'll come right off. If I hold it between my knees here, I can probably film it for you guys. There it goes. Actually, the rubber just gives you something to grip, and we didn't put that step down ring on tight at all. But what happens when you turn the lens to put it on, it tightens down the rings, right? So elastic band, your best friend. I'm full of tips today, guys. So when you store this back in your bag, don't just drop the ring in there, because you'll lose it probably. What I do is I take that extra lens cap that I keep and I just clip it right on. And then I put that whole unit inside my camera bag, and that way you're never going to lose the ring. They're stuck together.